More than 20 religious groups call on Senate to pass Same-Sex Marriage Act. Over a dozen religious rights groups urged the Senate on Monday to codify federal protections for same-sex and interracial marriage, calling the freedom to marry whom one loves a matter of human dignity. The letter, addressed to Senators Tammy Baldwin, Democrat of Wisconsin, and Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, comes after senators announced a bipartisan amendment to strengthen religious liberty protections in the Respect for Marriage Act. The letter says, quote, "Within our communities, we approach matters of marriage, family, and identity differently. This bill recognizes this diversity of belief while ensuring that same-sex and interracial couples are treated with equal respect by federal and state governments. The amendment protects the right to believe as we choose while leaving intact the core mission of the legislation to respect marriages. The freedom to marry who one loves is a matter of human dignity and is supported by a majority of almost every major religious tradition in the United States," end quote. The bill cleared a major procedural hurdle in the Senate earlier this month after garnering enough support from Senate Republicans. Majorities of most major religious groups back same-sex marriage, according to a March poll by the Public Religion Research Institute. That includes 83% of Jewish Americans, over 70% of Catholics and Protestants, and more than 50% of Muslims. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has also notably expressed support for the bill. And, you know, I'm happy. I'm just like, are we really debating freedom, right? This is really about freedom. When they talk about human dignity and freedom to love who you want to love and marry who you want to marry, the idea that this can be debated by other people, right, affecting my life and your life.
Put to a vote.
Put to a vote, argued about, that some religion, I don't even know what this Latter-day Saints thing is, can come in and say, my marriage doesn't count anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is going on? Like,
you know, we should say contextually to that point, the Senate is voting while we're doing this broadcast. The Senate is voting right now. There is not a conclusion yet to the vote. If it happens in the next few minutes during the broadcast, we will announce it here. It is generally, we're kind of on pins and needles, but we generally believe it is going to pass. The one thing that I think is important beyond the religious support, the statistics there that you just give are really important. Religious liberty is going to be the topic in 2023 for LGBT. It's going to be religious liberty because it's going to be generated out of the Supreme Court, and people like Clarence Thomas is going to make it a focal point.
But what happened to separation of church and state? I don't care about your religion.
Yeah.
And I don't care what your religion thinks about my life or my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, that's to be personal. That shouldn't be to put to a vote.
I completely agree with you, but the statistics are indicating that the majority of Americans agree with you. But that's not what is at play here. We're talking about a minority percentage of very radical religious zealot that are saying, I want to manage your life, and I don't want your life to...
Well, I think we're doing the fighting correctly then, because separation of church and state is in the Constitution, is it not?
Yes, but you have to have a sort of majority of the Supreme Court rule that way.
Right.
And that's why 2023...
But they have to follow the Constitution.
They interpret the Constitution.
So I don't care about your religion.
The 6-3 supermajority that they have likely, very likely, is not going to come to that conclusion. And that's the only reason I make this point. I hope that Respect for Marriage passes, and for clarification of our viewers that might be confused, this is not the Equality Act. We need the Equality Act also. We're not going to get the Equality Act in any short-term basis. We need the Equality Act passed. This does not do it. But what this does do in the balance of codifying is it is a block to Clarence Thomas and the Supreme Court to saying we can reverse his claim about reversing marriage. This will stop that.
It won't stop that. It'll send it back to the states. We live in Florida. We will not have marriages. It doesn't stop anything. It doesn't stop anything.
If it's a federal protection.
It's a federal protection, meaning wherever
We supersede.
it would supersede any state's ability to not have marriage.
If they don't water it down. So like what I was just showing David is that what they're trying to water down in order to get the Republican votes is that everything gets pushed back to the states, that the Supreme Court can overturn it, and that it will be left up to the states, in which case we live in Florida, right? And so I have to go back again to, why is somebody's religion in my secular personal life? Right. We need to go back to that, and we need to make sure that you can practice whatever religion you want.
If we are going
but you
to get
cannot
that,
force that on other citizens in America.
I don't disagree with you, but if we're going to get that, then we can't lose Miami-Dade County. We have to win elections. We have to win the Senate seats when
We're
they
not
come
going to
up.
be married in this state. People keep taking this as a joke. People have to show up and vote, and they have to vote the right way, and they have to stop playing these games. They're dehumanizing us.
Well,
to our faces.
I think it's really important to realize that the impetus of the story is, again, the progress we're making, and although it's messy at best, very messy, is that the arc of what's happening is moving forward. And so, I saw last night Rachel Maddow showed some clips of this bigot racist that Donald Trump had dinner with. And, the reason they're talking about fascism is because they don't want to have votes or a Supreme Court. Right. They want to have fascist rule that outlaws gay, outlaws abortion, outlaws interracial marriage. Right. So although this is messy, there is something even messier on the other side. So I think we need to realize the progress that's actually happening and realize that it's a step. Is it the end all be all, the Equality Act, and all the other things have to come behind that?
I think it really shows the movement that you're saying. It's a movement toward the acceptance by people that have generally been very against it. Right. I mean, those numbers that you shared were pretty impressive. I mean, I was impressed by that. I didn't think they were so high.
And the Republicans support of this bill is not because their heart is opening up wide. Right. It's because they see those numbers of their religious backers who all, if you're Catholic or Jewish or a Mormon and you have an LGBTQ member in your family. It's a really good point because Boebert in Colorado is an example of it. She has been, after Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, who is gone, thankfully, but she's been basically the #2 worst voice in Congress against LGBT. She has to now return to Congress moderating herself somewhat because out of 250,000 votes, she wins by 500. You can't continue to espouse such extremism and hope automatically you're going to win. And her race proves, wait, if you're an election denier, if you're anti this and anti that and just batshit crazy, there's a very good chance, even in a Republican district, you will lose.
Yeah, it works against.
I think we have to remember our history. We had that early story, and we have a story coming up. We were talking about Dr. Fauci. One thing we didn't do 30 years ago is we didn't back down and we didn't take half. Right? And I think nowadays we are too quick to get ready to celebrate, and we're not getting anything. We're not getting our rights. We're not getting what we need. We're not getting what we deserve as human beings in America, paying taxes, working. I should have full rights. It's not up to you. This is not a debate, and I think we need to not think about stopping or celebrating or cheering until we get the exactly, because we do that too quick and then we end up sliding back even farther. I don't care about this thing that's up right now today. We need the Equality Act, period. This is not debatable. We need separation of church and state, period. You can pray to whoever you want in your home, in your place of church. That has nothing to do with my life. I'm not asking for your permission anymore. We're demanding our rights. And I think we have to stop playing these games because we're losing this battle, guys. We're losing it. playing nice and playing, oh, we'll wait till next session. We're not waiting till next. I came up in the ACT UP days. People are dying now, today. I don't have next session. I need the help now, today. I'm not leaving the building until we get the help today. I think we might need to make a trip to the Supreme Court and say, enough of this game. You don't get to play with our lives, debate our lives, debate the amount of freedom we get, debate the amount of dignity we get. Hey, this is not up for debate. I'm a full human like you are in this country. We have to stop playing that. I'm tired. I've had enough.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+ community.